Welcome to Club Damingo, brought to you by Cyclone Comics.
There's that strange woman again.
Here we are.
Yes.
Hiding in places.
So,
Dear listener, we've been yammering on so much in the green room, Carrie and I, that I've done my tea is gone and cold and finished, and I've had to go and get another glass of water.
yes. Yeah. But boy, we've covered a bit of ground already, haven't we?
Boy,
God,
haven't
if
we?
everyone was listening, they would have loved what we were talking about. They would have
How
loved
much of that can go to air, Gary?
absolutely none of it. None of it at all. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next week.
Fabulous. All right.
Okay. So, are you still marking stuff, or is that all done and dusted?
No, that was previous assessments, and just last night, last assessments should have all come in. So when I'm off the air with you, it's back to marking 50 odd assignments. But that'll be it for the trimester. So yeah, on our way.
Yeah. Okay.
To the end there.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking, but boy, oh boy.
Any news on the greener pastures front, or is that just chugging along? Just chugging along.
Well, something interesting. We did some ADR. I don't know if I talked about that last week, did I?
ADR.
It stands for automatic dialogue replacement.
Oh, you said you were going to.
None of it is.
Yeah. Of course, you had a
None of
stand-in
that's automatic.
for Jeff Morrell, and so you have to match up the dialogue.
No, not this. This wasn't for Jeff. This is for Trevor.
Oh,
so
right. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Trevor's prosthetic muffled his voice so much that it was problematic. So we've had to do a session in a booth with an actor doing the lines. And it's actually a different actor to the guy in the mask. So we're pulling a bit of a Darth Vader here, and
or Bane.
So
we
actually
from Batman, right. Dark Knight Rises.
If only they had redone his voice. Well, that's what we're trying to avoid, I guess. All the incomprehensible dialogue. So, but we had a guy. Oh man, I didn't prep for this question, obviously, and I can't remember his last name.
We don't prep for this show, remember?
That's right, exactly. So we had an actor named Steffo lined up to play Trevor because we already had a cast of his head, which meant that the prosthetic was going to be that much cheaper to make because he already had done some prosthetic work. But it took so long between asking me if he'd like to be involved and actually getting it all scheduled to actually happen that he moved to Melbourne and his health wasn't that great. So he said, I can't do it. So we got a different actor who was really great, Alistair Bates. He was really great. We had to do it's incredible how much different the head shapes were and everything. So we had to do quite a lot to fix the prosthetic to
and he had a voice like this.
On his head. That's right. No, he didn't. But we would have had to do ADR if it was Alistair or Steffo. But Steffo was coming up to Sydney when Nick, the director, was looking around to see what we're going to do about the ADR, and actually said, would you still like to be involved? You can do the ADR. And that way we've still got you playing Trevor in a form as well. So that happened the other week. So, yeah.
So that raises an interesting question about what were you imagining Trevor's voice would sound like? And what is this actor that's doing the ADR? What is his voice like for Trevor?
Yeah, it's, there was a point where Michael and I were discussing, I forget why we were discussing, but what would Trevor look like if he was a human? And I actually found that really hard to kind of figure out, and I think Michael had a better visual of that, or at least he had a visual of that, that he had, had some consideration for beforehand, and I still don't really know, and that I think goes through to the voice as well. I don't know that I've necessarily got a voice in my head when I read Trevor's dialogue. Perhaps with the 2020s era stuff, sounds more and more like Michael every time I read it in his voice. And I feel like Michael's writing more and more in his own voice as well.
Right.
But just adamant that it was definitely like an Australian accent, probably with no other accent, to flavor it either. Like it needed to be maybe not Ocker, well, probably not Ocker, but definitely like Australian with no English, no Italian, no Greek in there. It just so. And because he's middle-aged, it's that much deeper, and maybe it's a little bit croaky. And so I actually haven't heard the ADR, so I don't know what it sounds like yet.
Yeah, interesting. Yes. You alluded to you had no thoughts of what the voice sounds like when you're reading it in the comics. I always assumed it was something along the lines of an Australian Michael J. Fox, like just a young, earnest Australian male voice.
No, that would be it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And,
but these are all problems that have to be solved.
If go ahead.
I was going to say these are all problems that are going to have to be solved when you're making a film. Is not only the visuals but the audio and the voices for something that you've only ever had in your head, and you've all of a sudden you're going to make this decision of like he might be really experienced, but his voice is too high, or whatever the problems might be, and it just doesn't sit right with you. Yeah.
So once the ADR is in the edit, and the pickups that we did are in the edit, then we'll be looking at giving that edit to a sound designer, and I'm pretty sure some of his job will be to look at the recording of Trevor's dialogue. And
that was a bad one. That was a bad one.
Say that it sound more like it's coming out of that.
Say that again, because that was really bad. Tripping up like.
Okay. So I can't remember how I started that. I was saying. Rewind it for me. I'm too natural to redo stuff. So what I was saying was that once we've got all the ADR into the present edit, we'll probably be giving, and the pickups that we did as well, we'll give that edit to a sound designer. So a professional sound designer will be looking at it. So there's other things like Trevor's footfalls and what's the sounds going to be in the background of the farm scenes, etc. But I'm pretty sure that they'll be having a play with what Trevor's voice will sound like, so it won't just be straight from the ADR.
Yeah. They can make it deeper.
Probably the same. Yeah, probably the same with Jeff Morell's character's voice as well. There's something odd about the character, so we'll probably be playing with that a bit.
Right. Yeah.
All of this stuff is it's really cool that we add little by little all this stuff. So yeah.
And you were mentioning earlier before we got on the camera that you've been to a couple of events over the last couple of days, or the last week.
Well, I went to one, and I'll talk about one that I haven't been to yet as well. So the one we went to, we being Anne-Marie, Samuel, and I, went to the latest Read to Me here in Sydney. That's put on by Gabe and Finn and Evie at the Knox Street Bar in Surrey Hills. And so Samuel was reading. So I do like to go to the Read to Me's, but I haven't been going to many of them recently, and just because I'm old and tired and slack. But because Sam was reading, we thought we'll definitely, this is a good excuse to definitely go this time. So we went to the Read to Me just last Tuesday to hear Samuel read one of his latest stories and a few other people. We left at about halftime. Or the interval is what the culture people call it. We left at interval, and but so I don't know how the second half went, but it's always great. It's always really a great mix, a great broad mix of stuff from Samuel's that was heartfelt and funny as well, to somebody who really poured their heart out about relationships over a very long period of their life, and another person who talked about education. It was a really interesting mix just in that first half. So if you're in Sydney, you got to just keep an eye out on the Read to Me socials. They're always worth going to. But I'm not going to tell you, and I didn't tell you before we got on actually, so I'll tell you when we get off. But just in case it doesn't happen, I'm not going to say who is lined up for next month. But if you're into great comics, full stop, you should come, because somebody who's never done a read to me before will be doing one, and somebody from our era as well as who that is. So it should be really great fun. They came to the one the other night to have a look, because they've never actually had a look before. So when I talked to them and they said, well, we've never been there, we better get a handle on what this is about before we do our own. So I'm very excited. I'll definitely be going again to the next one, because they'll be there. So
right, okay.
If it gets
what's their
announced, oh, very clever. I nearly
damn. You saw my tactic.
If it gets announced between now and next week, I'll definitely, be
right.
going on about it.
Was it a good turnout in the audience? Was there many people turned up?
It starts at 7:30. If you're not there by 7, you will not get a seat. We got there at 6:30 and got good seats.
Yeah.
But it's a little like, there is a bar area, but then there's another room where they do these events. And that's where Read to Me is. And that is just chockers, 100% full. But in the bar area, they have televisions, and they broadcast it out into there as well. And depending on what night it is, that can get very full as well. And people are kind of, always. Gabe and Finn and Evie, put on a great event. And it's very community minded. It is much more about community than almost anything else, to bring people together around the campfire and hear the stories that people have to tell, and so that hits home. But on top of that, there's also the fact that Gabe and Finn and Evie, I think as well, lecturers or teachers or coordinators at UTS, at the University of Technology, Sydney. So a lot of their students do the read to me's, but they also, a lot of them come as well. So there is already a large audience that come on a regular basis. And it's great. Where I lecture at JMC Academy, our students put on an animation night there to show their work to industry people, and that was really well received as well. So it's a really great venue to do these kind of things in. So if you've never been, you definitely come next time.
Yes, I've done one read to me. That was at Mona, in one of the cinema spaces there, or public speaking spaces, and I performed with Belle the first chunk of Morton Stone, the book one of that.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that was good fun.
Oh, very cool. Is there a recording of that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I got a script and everything prepared, and we talked in voices and character voices and stuff like that. So,
Oh, brilliant. And was that, did you do any kind of animations or transitions, or it was just the page came up? Or
the page came up, so people were reading along with the artwork as they do. And we were just voicing the characters and reading the pages as they. I had to convert it to the proportions of a screen, so it wasn't skinny. It was, which is basically just cutting the pages in half in a lot of cases. So it wasn't a lot of work. So that was good fun. So I've had a small taste of the read to me experience. I can only imagine what it's like with in a pub environment with lots of other people getting up to do their thing. Yeah, so it's good.
It's look, I don't know who in the world did it first. It's probably been going on since the 60s or 70s at comic conventions in the US or whatever. There must be live readings that have been happening in US and Europe and everything. But my first real experience was when they did it, whoever they are, when they did it at Graphic in Sydney, which was the big
Opera House one,
art festival at the Opera House. So the first year that they did that, and Matt Quinn did one on line dancing, Lion, dancing, and actually had a lion come out and do stuff while the graphics were coming up huge in like in the main hall, whatever you call it, at the Opera House, and Matt. Was it Matt? Is it Matt Taylor? At the time had a comic about a heavy metal Viking, and he had a guy come out with a um, uh, electric guitar, and like it was really huge and loud, and so it was like really big performance aspects to it as well. And the first time I did a read to me at the Knox Street Bar was a piece that Michael and I wrote called "Your Music Sucks, Man," which was about, I remember that old man complaining about the music of the young people and how it doesn't actually have anything like what we used to have. We did a short print run because Sam did one on the same night, so we did a flip book, which you could buy. It's sold out now. Which you could buy and get a cassette tape recording of our read to me as well. But I had a guy who was a friend of Samuel's, Jacob Dorset Daly, who is a crazy good at music, and he was doing the musical riffs along with the, when I was rabbiting on about Minnow Oil or Hunters and Collectors in excess. So he came out and did the riffs, while I was talking. Wow. So it was really cool. It was a great night. So I like to try to add a little bit to it. The second time I did it, I did issue 7.5, which is a really weird one to kind of do. It's very much outside of what Greener Pastures is, and it was us being Michael and I, talking about why there has been no Greener Pastures for a while, and the fact that we have jobs and stuff, but in a very meta kind of way. And I asked Evie if she reckoned that one would work, and she said, "That's really weird. I love it. Let's do it." So, so it's good fun.
You want to hold up that page again while you talk with the ball, because that's a really nice hand. I just want to see. Because I've been bumping into that's a nice hand. I've been bumping into some dodgy hands these days. Yeah,
you reckon that's a good hand?
Yeah, well, the thumb joint probably is a little bit dodgy, but the rest of it is great. It just caught my eye.
I was purposefully trying to channel Jack a little bit, Jack Kirby a little bit with the creation and look of that character, who ends up being quite important in the 2020s stuff.
Okay, yeah,
a little bit of Jack Kirby, a little bit of
Jack Kirby in the face, a
little bit of Eddie Campbell, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, read to me. Do you remember the first ledgers that had Christopher Downs and Josh Santo-Spirito in their big book?
That's right, yeah.
And Josh was performing and telling the verse or the story, and Christopher Downs had this big book that he'd open up and he'd physically draw on the blank pages.
Yeah, that was like a 6 foot tall book, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It was huge. Yeah. That was something that they'd performed in Hobart previously, right?
I think they'd done it on the mainland once or twice as well. And, like transporting that book and making it arrive safely and setting it all up was hell. I really felt sorry for the two guys doing that. But they did a fantastic job that first awards night. That was absolutely brilliant. Like just the perfect thing to kick things off, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. No, very cool. Yeah, wonderful. All of those intersections are good because comics making is a solitary experience, especially when you're like yourself, Gary, where you do all the writing and drawing yourself. But even when I'm working with a partner, he's not here while I'm drawing and I'm not there while he's writing.
Yeah.
It's a very solitary experience. And then when you're reading, it's usually a solitary experience. So to try to figure out a way to make it a communal experience, I think is a great thing.
Yeah. There was something else that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, there's a thing in Sydney called Sketch Party, which Alex Major, again, comics alumni, right? Alex Major, who has made comics and animation for a very long time. is a big proponent of. He loves Sketch Party, and he's doing it with a partner. So, and I'm sorry I've forgotten the other person's name, but they organise Sketch Party in Sydney. So you look that up again on Instagram. Probably is the best place. There's, I believe, 4 sketch parties around the world. LA was the first one. Sydney, Paris. I'm not sure where the other one is. Southeast Asia somewhere, I think. And it really is just you turn up at the designated drinking hole, and the tables are covered with paper, and there's pencils and crayons and textures and blah blah everywhere, and you just draw while you socialize and I guess network. But it was probably created to be a bit of a networking thing, but I don't think that's anything that people think about while they're there. They're just happy to sit and draw and have fun. So I haven't been to the Sydney one, and Alex has often chided me about it, especially when I keep on saying interested on Facebook and then never going. But I actually met up with somebody else from way back in my past, comic book wise, just this week, just to have a catch up, and it was in the pub where they've been doing Sketch Party recently at the Carrington in Sydney, and I'm going, oh, they've put all of the pieces of paper up on the walls, which was really lovely.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Was the Yugal at the Carrington at any stage?
Not that I can recall.
I know
the
it
Yugal,
did change.
To tell the children what the Yugal is, Gary. You can't just say a weird word like that. Sounds like there's
Yugal.
internet garble going on.
Yugal. The Yugal Club was the Yugoslav soccer club that we used to in the early days, in the mid 80s. Everyone would get together at this Yugal Club on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon. I think it was Sunday mainly. No, it was a Saturday, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And just talk comics. And that's where you'd network and meet, and that's where sort of Cyclone germinated from, and that's where Phantastique germinated from. It was just like a social get-together of like minds, and that stayed there for quite a while, and then it sort of moved from pub to pub over the years. And there was a time when I was living in Chippendale. I was just at the pub around the corner from where I lived, the Chippendale Hotel. So I was there for a chunk of time. And, like everyone would turn up to that, and it moved to a couple of other pubs when I stopped going, or when I moved to Western Australia. So, so when people refer to the old Yugal Club, and Dave DeVries had it online for a while, and it sort of like wound up a little bit. That was every Thursday night. So yeah, when old cartoonists go Yugal, that's not a choke hazard. It's actually
it's not a mating call.
Yugal. Yeah. I don't think anyone got lucky after a Yugal Club. I'm not sure.
I think Melbourne had a get together that they actually called the Yugal Club for a while as well. So it became a generic term.
Yeah.
Australian comic book people at a pub.
Yeah. Yugal.
I think I think it was Thursday afternoons and evenings for a while as well. I'm pretty sure I remember going after work. On a Thursday.
You could be right. I mean, I could be totally wrong because I'm old about the weekend thing. I think it was a.
I can't remember ever going to one that you were at, other than probably the ones at the original soccer club, because I went to one or two of those.
And you were scared?
Of course I was, because I'm a timid person by nature, and not very, especially back then, not very good at socializing. So I was pretty timid. That's where I handed over my my pages for what should have gone into the next issue of Phantastique, which never happened, and I never got the pages back. And I don't have photocopies. It was the Phantastique Fwoarr, where I did a horror version of the horror version.
That is so funny, because Daniel Best can attest to this. I just sent him a text during last week saying, got a great idea, the Phantastique Fwoarr. And I sent him.
No way.
I can send. I don't know what your idea was. This is. I can read out my text message. Let me just get on to.
I can't believe I don't have it, because I actually I eyeballed copied, so I didn't trace it, but I had an issue of the Phantastique Fwoarr #1 on the drawing board, and I was trying to draw it almost line for line. my memory is I did that pretty well, but that was a very long time ago, so maybe I didn't. So yeah,
This is good viewing, isn't it? Hey, keep on talking, Tim. Keep on talking.
Well, then look, everybody can watch Boots, deciding that it's too boring in here now. Boots is left. Well, shall I tell you what mine was? what my Fantastic Four
I'm
was?
listening. Yep.
So it was a horror version of the origin of the Fantastic Four, like panel for panel from the original by Kirby and Lee. But when the rocket ship crashes, I think Johnny Storm has got like a piece of debris stuck through his chest and he's been killed. And anyway, one of them had that. Maybe Johnny Storm just burst into flames and died. And I can't remember what happened to Reed Richards or the Invisible Girl. But it was at the time when John Byrne was writing and drawing the Fantastic Four, and the She-Hulk was in there instead of Ben Grimm as the Thing.
Right.
She was the Muscle. And then so when Ben Grimm turns into the Thing from the origin story and he's going, I can't remember the dialogue, I am the Thing. She enters from, left of stage or whatever and tears his head off because she's worried she'll lose her job on the team. So it was terrible, but I'm going, what can I do that's like horrific and violent and blood and guts and everything? Well, I can't remember how many pages it was.
A 4-pager. It'd have to be a 4-pager.
It could have been 4. It could have been 4. And I handed them over to McConaughey, Frank McConaughey.
Frank McConaughey.
And
that was your first mistake.
No, my first mistake was not photocopying them first.
Anyway, my idea was, hey, Daniel, I'm workshopping an idea. This is just a bit of fun. The Fantastique Four. And I thought to myself, the Fantastic Four. Anyway, so the Thing is an alien from another world, like John Carpenter's movie, like assumes people's identities and stuff like that. Mr. Fantastique is a Doctor Strange type that got his wife killed. Invisible Woman is the ghost of Mr. Fantastique's wife, who's pretty angry about being killed. The Torch is a flaming demon from hell, maybe in the form of a flaming werewolf. So like Ghost Rider, but a flaming werewolf.
Fantastic.
For nice graphics, and fun ensues. I continue. I thought about it a bit more and made a few more notes.
Right. Oh, no, fun ensues is like all we need. Give that to Spielberg. We'll be right.
The Torch is Invisible Woman's younger brother, a victim of self-immolation after Mr. Fantastique fucked up a spell and turned him into a werewolf. Cool Ghost Rider-like flaming werewolf visuals. Mr. Fantastique just keeps on fucking up and making matters worse. First getting his wife killed, then failing to bring her back to life, then making her a rotting ghost, then fucking up little brother and cursing him as a flaming wolf demon. Thing is an alien shapeshifter who uses Mr. Fantastique to acquire victims to absorb. Maybe I can work this up into a Morton Stone story, The Undertaker versus the Fantastique Four.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Oh, let's do that.
And then incredible. I said, Daniel replied, Jesus, that sounds great. I like it. And I said, Steve and Antoinette may not like it, though.
Yeah, right. Steve and Antoinette being Steve Carter, Antoinette Ryder, who were two of the people who spearheaded Fantastique.
Yeah. So
if the lovely listeners don't really know what Fantastique is, you just do it. Google. It's spelled with a PH, Fantastique, QUE at the end.
Fantastique.
Yes, very, very prominent place in that part of Australian comics history.
Indeed, yes. Yeah. And your story, your Fantastique Four, I'm behind the times by about 40 years, I think.
That was probably the same day that like the day that I turned up to hand that over was probably the same day that Shea Anton Pencer was there handing over some of his Dark Nebula.
The Nightmare stuff, yeah.
And looking at those going, oh my God, they are incredible. I'd never seen anything like it, regardless of imprint, but like real artwork in my hands.
Yeah, and his chiseled inking, it was just amazing.
I don't know, what tool was he using for that? I guess it was a pen, but
a nib or traditional nib, whatever they use over in America. Yeah,
amazing.
amazing, absolutely amazing. Yes,
Wow.
Shay Anton Pencer is another artist worth looking up because he did some work for DC over the years as well. Some
Green Arrow.
Yeah, the Green
And
Arrow.
the Butcher.
The Butcher, yes. Yeah. Yeah. So another good name to contend with. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Got
I
anything
can't
else?
believe we were going, oh, we've got nothing to talk about today, Gary. What are we going to talk about? How long have we been on for? We've been on for too long already.
let's call that quits for the week so that we can bitch and moan off camera.
Brilliant.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tim. Talk to you next week.
Yeah, no worries. Nice to see you all. Bye.